You know, even though this series is over, since all three movies are on Netflix, you can always go there to rewatch them. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're talking about a brand new Netflix release, To All the Boys, Always and Forever. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, if you're excited for it, if you weren't planning on seeing it, let me know so we can discuss. I also have reviews up for the first two movies, and I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description in case you missed either of them. Plus, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these Netflix reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there and growing the community. And if you are new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about To All the Boys, Always and Forever. This once again stars Lana Condor as Lara Jean Covey. As she prepares for the end of high school and the start of adulthood, a pair of life-changing trips leads her to reimagine what life with her family, friends, and Peter will look like after graduation. Once again based on the book of the same name by Jenny Han, this is directed by Michael Fiminari, who also directed the second film, and it's the final installment in the To All the Boys trilogy on Netflix. Now, I gotta admit, I was a bit skeptical with this because while I liked the first movie, I didn't really care for the second. Now, while it wasn't terrible, I just felt it didn't have what made the first movie so enjoyable, outside of the charms of the cast. And considering Netflix's romantic comedies can be very hit and miss, I was afraid this was going to be more of the second movie and less of the first. But it turned out this is more of a return to form for the series, even if it doesn't totally reach the same heights as the first film did. It can be pretty sentimental, and sometimes a little cheesy in its execution, and it's definitely more dramatic than the first film was, but it still struck a nice balance between its serious moments and its humorous moments. Not every joke made is this laugh-out-loud hilarious moment, but there were some nice chuckles thrown in there that helped cut some of the tension when things started to feel pretty heavy. So while the first film relied more on laughs, and the second film relied more on sentimental moments, there was more of a balance between the two here. And one consistently great element of all three movies is the cast. Once again, the performances are a big part of what makes this enjoyable. Lana Condor does a wonderful job again as Lara Jean. She's very sweet, and she exudes this natural likability to her. We once again get a lot of her narration, and while narration can go over very poorly, especially in these teen/young adult movies, in this series the narration has been one thing that usually works, mainly for Condor's very warm delivery. We also once again get a number of moments where she gets way inside her own head, and she starts panicking over what Peter may think of certain decisions she makes, and this results in her imagining this version of him whenever she's by herself, which made for some fun moments. I do hope with this franchise being over, we'll see more of Condor in the future, as she makes for a very enjoyable lead. And Noah Centineo, who's become one of Netflix's go-tos for romantic comedies, is pretty solid once again as Peter. He's another one who has a lot of natural charisma to him, so I get why we see him pop up in quite a few of these Netflix rom-coms over the past few years. Of all three movies, I'd say this is where his character provides the most amount of conflict for Lara Jean, because what winds up happening is Lara Jean doesn't get into Stanford College, which is where he's going, and her backup plan is to go to Berkeley, which is an hour away from him, but after a trip to New York early on in the film, she falls in love with going to NYU, and they don't want to break up over school, but he especially can't let go of this notion that the only way things can work out between them is if they're close by or going to the same school, which is totally understandable, but it winds up putting Lara Jean in this predicament. Like the last two films, she's once again presented with this big choice, but it's not a love triangle this time. It's instead her choosing to go to Berkeley to be closer with Peter because that's what he really wants so it can make their relationship work, or going to NYU because that's what she wants and that's what she feels is best for her future. It's a somewhat simplistic premise, kind of similar to how the last film mainly revolved around her just needing to make this one decision. There's not a ton of complexity to this story, but it works better this time around, especially because I think there's way more relatability here. Because unlike the last film, this isn't just Lara Jean needs to make one decision at the end. This is Lara Jean needs to make this one huge decision that will affect her entire future. And I think that will connect with viewers a lot more than the conflict we saw play out in the last film. Because while parts of this film will play out in a pretty familiar manner, a lot of us have still been in these sort of predicaments before, in one way or the other. We get caught up in having to make decisions where we don't want to make someone we care about unhappy, but at the same time, by doing so, that may come at the cost of our own happiness. And sometimes that involves big decisions that will shape our entire future, such as, for example, the schools we go to, or maybe choosing where we go to work, if you need to move in order to get to a certain job, things like that, and it can be pretty stressful. So because of stuff like that, this movie works as a whole. Though that being said, the main reason for that is due to the fact that it also relies on you building up a connection with these characters from the last couple of movies in order for this to fully work. Like, even though I mentioned this situation is very relatable, it also works more because we like Lara Jean, Peter, and all these other characters. We've established a connection with them over the course of 2 other movies, and we care about what happens to them. And in a way, sure, if you think about it, that's the case with any sequel, but I think because of how this is set up, if you were to tweak this screenplay to revolve around brand new characters, it would more than likely fall flat, or at best just be okay. A lot of the relationships were already established in these first couple of movies, and outside of Lara Jean and Peter, a lot of the dynamics remain almost exactly the same here among all these characters throughout the entire movie. It relies on you already being familiar with how they're like for you to fully appreciate this, because at least for me, I wasn't interested so much because it's such a well-told story, but more because I like these characters from previous movies, if that makes sense. Still, all that being said, if these are characters you enjoy, and if you've enjoyed both movies, or at least the first movie, I think you'll definitely appreciate this. These dynamics that we're used to are just nice. As I mentioned, there are some fun conversations among all these characters, and it strikes a nice balance between being funny and being sweet, and I think with the way it's handled, it still provides a solid, emotionally satisfying conclusion to the series that fans will appreciate. Overall, this one's a good time. While it relies a lot on your appreciation for these characters having already been built up from the first 2 movies, and while it also doesn't reach the same heights as the first movie did, it still has plenty to enjoy. It has 2 great performances from Lana Condor and Noah Centineo, it has a relatable storyline, and a nice mix of heart and humor that leads to this trilogy being wrapped up in a very nice way. To All the Boys, Always and Forever gets a 7 out of 10. So let me know, did you see To All the Boys 3, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Was this your favorite entry in the trilogy? Was it your least favorite? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.